All right, good morning, traders. Today is February 25th, 2026. My name is Coach Kerrigan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That's a day trading division of the Hit and Run Candlesticks family. Thank you so much for being here today. Hey, thank you everybody out there, podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for subscribing and following and liking and following my content. Thank you for the kind words. Special shout out, Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted. Thank you for sharing the content, helping get the good word out there to the World Wide Web. Appreciate that, love that. Let's take a look at the markets this morning. Few announcements. Got one. All right, we got a open house. Open house is on March 2nd and 3rd of next week. So that's Monday, Tuesday. Probably going to run most of the morning, and then that's probably going to be it. Just going to run most of the morning. I'll do a couple of webinars in there, and then you guys can go. So that's for everybody out there that's not a member, so you know what to expect. All right, let's take a look at the market this morning. My SPY pivot 684. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Diamond Dow inside day. It's a lower high and a higher low. Closed under a bearish trap and under the 17 EMA. Is that right? Is that right? That seems weird, but you have to check that out. SPY, lower high, lower low, closing over a bearish trap over the 17. QQQ, higher low, higher high, closing over a bearish trap, but under the 17. Stinker, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. IWM inside day, lower high, higher low, closing over bearish trap over the 17. SPY may close with a 2-hour uptrend and 10-minute bullish consolidation. Got a week 10-minute 2-candle uptrend at the very end of the day there on SPY. Silver inside day, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17 EMA. Gold, lower high and a lower low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. And USO is still in an uptrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing over bullish trap over the 17. UNG still in a downtrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the falling 17. US dollar index still in the daily uptrend, closed near the 97.86 area. SPY max pain, if they didn't change it, 685 with a put to call ratio of about 1.2 puts for each call that expires today at 4:15. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15. Security options expire at 4. The main event this week is the NVIDIA earnings that happened tonight after the market closes. So that is going to be a big market mover, or has the potential to really rip the market. If this is your first time seeing this page, okay, these over here on the left are all in daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. These over here in the middle on the right, these are all in daily downtrends under the 17. If they have a star next to it over here, they're building out a bull flag. All right, bull flag, or I call it a launch pad from which to launch higher. Excuse me. If they're building out, they got a star next to it over here, they're building out a bear flag from which to dive lower. All right, so there's the market there. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. I just want to see that for a second. Diamond Dow got a lower high and a lower low. What did I have written up there? Diamond Dow it's an inside day, closing under a bearish trap. Yeah, under a bearish trap. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at SPY. Take a look at it on the 10-minute chart. All right, you can see here's yesterday's price action. We move up and then over to the right. So bullish consolidation on the 10-minute chart into the close, moving up and over to the right. Notice SPY closed near the high of the day at the end of the day, when that happens, high chance or high probability of price gapping up, excuse me, the following day. All right, so there's 10-minute chart of SPY bullish consolidation on the 10-minute chart. 2-hour chart. 2-hour, you can see you got the sticks and the 3 are now up over. This is the 3 EMA, the yellow line, up over the 8 EMA, which is the white line right here. Okay, so you got the sticks and the 3 riding on top of the 8. So we got a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close yesterday on the daily candle. Okay, we've got a looks like a lower high and a lower low, but we're closing over a bearish trap and over the flat. See the red dots? And over the flat 17 EMA right there. Okay, now if we put this on with the quad lines, you can see we're at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, this is the origin of our rally back here on April. Notice how we move up, and now we are kind of moving to the right here, consolidating over to the right. So we got price is in quadrant 4, near the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish. All right, and we're still in a downtrend. Here's the good news. We're not moving down. We're kind of just moving to the right. All right. We got ourselves in a downtrend. You got a low here. You got a high there. And then we made a lower low. So we're still in a downtrend until we make a higher high. So there's SPY. Still in a downtrend, but up there at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish. Good news is that downtrend is not carrying us further south. Instead, it's carrying us further to the right. So that's good news. So there's SPY on the daily chart. On the weekly chart, you can see all the green dots up here. Okay, so you got price and the sticks and the 3 riding up on top of the 8. Okay, on the weekly chart for the most part. And we are in on an uptrend, and we are at the top of quadrant 4, so we're bullish. And we're still in an uptrend on the weekly chart. We have not made any lower lows, all right? Have to be a lower low that pops below the 17. So here's the price action, and we are up and over to the right, consolidating now for it looks like, well, let's just call it, start it right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. We've been up here consolidating up at near these highs up here on SPY on the weekly chart. Monthly chart. See all the green dots? We're still bullish. There's the origin of the rally, April. Okay, we're still bullish and in an uptrend on the monthly chart. So my favorite trade's 10-minute uptrend that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend, that resides inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend. So we got weekly and monthly uptrends. All right, we got a 2-hour uptrend. We got 10-minute bullish consolidation. But we got dailies in a downtrend, but here's the deal. It's not moving down. Okay, so we could see one of my favorite trades manifest today. I like it especially when price is up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. So let's take a look at where that is. So here's our pink line right there. This is our all-time high anchored VWAP, the pink line. And we are, you can see in the pre-market over here, we are currently over the pink line. Okay, so just saying, that's my favorite trade. All right, I like it when all the bigger time frames are moving up, or I like it when they're moving up or still in uptrends. All right, they have the ability to probably make my 10-minute uptrend go further, last longer. So it's one of my favorite trades when I see that, and we're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. So they're gonna see my favorite trade today. We'll see what happens. I like a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. That's my favorite trade. So, all right. So there's the 10-minute chart. Let's take a look at the game plan. Okay, so you got green erases red. Clearly, we're above it. All right, so I'm a bull. So looking for an entry up here in the pre-market. Green erases red over 687.95. SPY pivot 684. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erases green underneath 680.30. Okay, 680.30 has been providing us support now for a couple of weeks, maybe even longer. All right. I like this is a SPY game plan. All right. I like Friday options on the multiple of 5. All right. On specifically for the open interest, they tend to have more open interest in there. More open interest usually equates to higher liquidity. Higher liquidity means tight bid-ask spread, less slippage on my stop outs. All right. So I like Friday options. I like strikes that are $2 to $15 out of the money. They don't get the performance that an in the money option will get, but I'm okay with that. I don't really want to. I don't have a lot to risk. I'm only risking 10%, so I prefer the out of the money strikes. They tend to be a whole lot cheaper than the in the money strikes, and I'm willing to give up a little bit of that performance to have a little bit less risk on the table. All right, I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. If a 10-minute uptrend were to manifest down here, long before the pivot or the green erases red entry, all right, I'm not opposed to trading it. I just like to see it break the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. All right, same with the downtrends. It goes on the reverse. Like if a downtrend were to manifest up here, okay, long before the pivot or the red erases green entry, I'm not opposed to trading it. Just like to see it break the 10-minute bearish rubber band candle. All right, so there's SPY on the 10-minute right there. QQQ has a game plan as well. Let's go take a look at that. Blow this up a little bit. Not too much. All right, we got green erases red. Clearly, we're already above it, so we'll be looking for an entry. Looking for a 10-minute uptrend to jump into at the open. Same on QQQ, same on SPY. So we got green erases red over 606.20. Pivot, 604.10. Red erases green underneath 699. Okay, so if we get below these lows, we could see us falling down to check out that low and maybe even that low. And then maybe even further. All right, so I'm just saying if we break this, good chance we're coming down pretty hard. So there's QQQ on the 10-minute chart. Well, that's the game plan. Same game plan, pretty much. I like Friday options on the multiple of 5. So that's going to be 2 days till expiration or 9 days till expiration. I like $2 to $15 out of the money. Remember, I don't have a lot of risk, so I'm going to choose the out of the money options. Again, like I said, they don't have the performance that an in the money option will have. I trade 10 to 15. Trade 10 minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Those are my favorite trades right there. 10-minute uptrends and 10-minute downtrends. On the 10-minute chart, we'll look at the 10 right here. You got price moving up and over to the right. So 10-minute bullish consolidation into the close yesterday. We got a weak 2-candle uptrend, if you want to call it that, coming into the close. See, 10-minute chart, 2 candles. So got a weak 10-minute 2-candle uptrend right there coming into the close yesterday. That's QQQ. On the 2-hour chart, all right, you got the stakes in the 3 riding up over the 8. All right, so we got a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close on the daily candle. Looking like an inside day. You can see what I had written down here. Just a second. QQQ, higher low, higher high. Okay, so QQQ, higher low, higher high. Closing over a bearish trap, but under the falling 17. Under pink line, that's the all-time high anchored VWAP. In the middle of quadrant 4, so that's bullish right there. That's bullish. All right, because it's in the upper third. Still in a downtrend. They haven't made a higher high. If they tap this high right here, right at 618.18, all right, that will put them back into an uptrend. Got a little high that pokes through the 17 right through there. So if they get on top of that. So they're in a downtrend because you got a low here. They made lower lows. The good news is they're not moving down, they're moving over to the right. So there's QQQ. Again, on QQQ, my favorite trade is going to be the 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that lives inside or resides inside the 2-hour uptrend, inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend. Okay? Right now, we got a daily downtrend that's moving to the right instead of down. That's good for the bulls, all right? Not the best, but that's probably the best scenario if the bears have control. So there's QQQ, daily chart, weekly candle. You can see still bullish and in an uptrend. We're at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, so you got low right here. This is the origin of our rally. Okay, so top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. All right, and in an uptrend on the weekly candle. On the monthly candle, still bullish and in an uptrend. See all the green dots? Still bullish and in an uptrend. You see this weekly candle? Yeah, we're not below this one yet. Okay, so still bullish, still in an uptrend right there, top of quadrant 4. Okay, for weekly and monthly. All right, bullish and in uptrends. All right, let's take a look at IWM on the daily chart. So IWM looks like an inside day, closing over a bearish trap, over the 17, over the all-time high, the pink line anchored VWAP, in the middle of quadrant 4 up here. Okay, that's, you can see price moves up, holds the higher ground. So that's bullish. All right, and they have not made any lower lows, so that's bullish and still in an uptrend on IWM. See, we did Diamond Dow, right? We did this one earlier. See, the low there was 47.15. Low there was 47.45. Was an inside day with a lower high and a higher low, closing just under a bearish trap, under the 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP in the middle of quadrant 4. And they are in a downtrend because we've got a low here, and then a high there, and then a low here, and that's a lower low. So they're currently in a downtrend, but not really ripping to the downside, just kind of melting off right now. So on Diamond Dow, so they're in a downtrend on the daily candle, but they're still bullish up here in the upper quadrant, in the upper third. So you can see the origin of their rally. This is it back here in April. We're still up and up here in quadrant 4, so that's bullish. But currently in a daily pullback, we have in a downtrend on the daily candle or the daily chart. This Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at Stinker. Stinker never fails to disappoint us recently. Okay, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap. See the sticks in the 3 underneath the 8, under the falling 17. That's all these red dots. Under the pink line, that's the all-time high anchored VWAP. Under the purple line, that's the all-time low anchored VWAP. Almost in the lower third. All right. So it's just neutral because it's not in the upper third, not in the lower third yet. Getting there. Seems to inch closer day by day. And you can see underneath the midpoint or the 50-yard line right here. So it is neutral, all right, almost bearish. It's neutral and still in a downtrend on FNGU, a.k.a. Stinker. All right, let's take a look at silver and gold. Silver, let's try to pick up something different. Let me turn this off. Oh, that's a busy chart. Let's try something different. All right, and let's put the quad lines on there back to 2022. Right there, okay. So here's the origin back here on 2022 for the silver trade right here. So there's the silver, there's the high way up here, okay. And you can see silver in the upper third. All right, so that's bullish. All right, but still in a downtrend because they got a low right here. and they made a lower low. So we got a low right here, and I think that going shoots through the 17. They made a lower low, so they're still in a downtrend till they take out that high right there. Okay, so there's silver on the daily candle. That's bullish up there in the upper third, but still in a downtrend. But here's the good news. For the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, price has been moving up as opposed to down. So there's silver in a downtrend that's not working, and bullish because it's in the upper third. Let's take a look at gold. So gold is lower high, lower low, closing over a bullish trap, over the 17. Back here, top of in the middle of quadrant 4. That's bullish. All right, and still in an uptrend on gold. Has not made a lower low yet. So there's gold. Let's take a look at UNG. This is an easy one. Lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, under the falling 17, under the 1 year high or 12-month high anchored VWAP. That's a pink line. And you can see this is the all-time low right here. And we are in quadrant 1. That's definitely bearish. It's in the lower third. See how it's under the crosshairs? So it's in the lower third. So that's bearish. And you can see we have made a low here, and then a high, and then a lower low. Still in a downtrend on UNG. USO, bullish and in an uptrend. Yesterday's candles, a higher low and a lower high and a lower low, closing over a bullish trap, over the rising, see the dots, 17 EMA, over the 4-year high anchored VWAP. That's this pink line. You can see here's the crosshairs. We're in the upper third. This is the quadrants right here. So we're in the upper third. We're up here in quadrant 4. So that's bullish. And in an uptrend, you see how we're making a high, making higher highs. And in an uptrend on USO, daily candle, daily chart. All right, let's take a look at the technicals. We'll start off with T2101. This is the absolute breadth, aka participation. We moved up yesterday, not significantly, but we did erase what happened the day before. And you can see the participation just kind of stayed the same, all right? We've been melting off now since the last 2 weeks. So nothing fantastic to report out of the participation report right there on T2101. T2122, I had hoped we were going to be up here in the overbought buy zone the day before, and we did not. We came airborne all the way down to the sell zone. Well, good news yesterday, we came out of the sell zone, all right, into the seller's chop zone, crossed the 50-yard line, and we have the ball, and we're up here camping out inside the buyer's chop zone. That's wonderful. It's nice, but I'm starting to see a trend right across the top of these peaks up here. Kind of like to see us up here in the overbought in the buy zone sometime today, like I did envision the couple days ago right here. Okay, but it just did not happen. So maybe today is the day we can make a higher high. I had hoped we made higher highs yesterday. We did not. We came, not yesterday, but the day before, we came down. This would be Monday, all right? I had envisioned on Monday us being up here. We came down on Monday. But Tuesday, here it is. We're trying to come back. And I'm envisioning us up here somewhere in the buy zone, overbought zone sometime today. I don't know. We'll see what happens, okay? I do like the gap up. That is bullish. We'll see what happens. There's T2122. That's a 15-minute chart. Nothing really fantastic other than we're camping out inside the buyer's chop zone. And we're on the north side of the 50-yard line. So there is T2122. T2123, 15-minute chart. This is the all-time high right here, right where I got my cursor. That's the all-time high for T2123. And you can see there's a low right here. We made a lower low the day before. And come yesterday, we didn't make any lower lows than the day before. But let's see if we made some higher highs. We made a high. You can see got a little wick pointing up over there. So you can see we made a higher high. So we're ending the day on the T2123 in an uptrend. Okay, bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, because see how price has moved up and over to the right. We're up over this rising 200 SMA. That's bullish, and in an uptrend because we got highs up over here over the 17. So bullish and an uptrend on the 15-minute chart for T2123. Here's the 3-bar chart of the same product. Okay, you can see this would be our April low. Okay, the origin of our rally. And you can see that was the all-time high before the April low. Then we came through and made a new all-time high, had a pullback, all right, a little 3-month pullback. From the 3-month pullback, we ripped back up over the rising 200 SMA, consolidated, and ripped to new highs right up there. So there was an all-time high, and then that got beat down by this new all-time high, and then this got beat down by this new all-time high. Okay, that's what inflation will give you, is higher numbers or bigger numbers to work with. So you get a lot of growth, you get a lot of earnings growth. All right, with that. Point is you got to get more product out there. So hopefully we're getting more product out there. Did not see that in the GDP that came out last week. All right, that didn't look like the case. T2123 got a rising 200 SMA. We're up over it, so we're bullish and still in an uptrend until we break this one candle low below the 17 right here. Until we break below that. Okay, so we're up atop of quadrant 4. That's bullish and then an uptrend. On stinker on the 15. Stinker on the 15 manages to, here's a low. They made a lower low yesterday. And then after making that lower low, we don't have a high over the 17 other than, well, right here. So we're in an uptrend. I can just barely see that one right there. So from there, they made a higher high. And so we left off with an uptrend on the 15-minute chart, just barely. Nothing fantastic. Still underneath this falling 200. You can see here's the low of that head and shoulders neckline that we were working with. That would be the head, left shoulder, right shoulder. Well, then here would be the neckline. Well, we made a lower low. So we have negated the inverse head and shoulders pattern by making a lower low. So that cancels that out. So we are now underneath the falling 200 SMA. So this is as bullish. We're in an uptrend, but we're still bearish because we're keep digging out lower lows. So bearish and in an uptrend currently. Barely an uptrend, all right, on FNGU. You can see we're under the falling 200, under the all-time high in BYOB. Clearly, we're moving down and holding the lower ground. If I were to stick quad lines in here, you would see us in quadrant 1. Okay, so that's bearish. All right, but in an uptrend, only because they squeaked out a higher high right here. Okay, that's it. That's the only reason they're in an uptrend. Nothing really wonderful to report here on FNGU. Dollar index right here. This is our 2025 high. We come down, and then we produce a bear flag. So here's the hockey stick. There's the shaft or the handle. And here's the blade of the hockey stick right there, the paddle part. And we're currently in this bear flag. There's a high here. They squeaked out a higher high a couple days ago, right there. So they got themselves into a new daily uptrend that's not moving up. And you can see right here, they're just kind of moving to the right now, but they're consolidating in this area. That's nice, all right, but they really need to be up here, all right, challenging the resistance. So, but here's the US dollar index. It's in an uptrend on the daily candle in this big bear flag that we're currently in. That's the US dollar index. Take a look at the economic package. See what we got here with that. Take a look at that. See what that says. All right, so here's Max Payne. I'm going to refresh it because they tend to change things on me. All right, 685's Max Payne. Looks like 1.2 puts for each call that expires today for SPY. Economic calendar, we've got MBA mortgage applications come out at 7. Make sure it's the right day. Yep. And then we've got petroleum report at 10:30. So really light day. Hey, the big news is the NVIDIA earnings after the close tonight. Thursday, what do we got? Jobless claims at 8:30. We got a delayed report, retail inventories, 8:30 as well. Wholesale inventories, another delayed report, 8:30 as well. Natural gas report, 10:30. On Friday, got another delayed report. International trade in goods. All right, that's at 8:30. PPI final demand, 8:30. That's not a delayed report. PPI Chicago PMI, 9:45. Consumer spending, delayed report. Okay, 9:45 or 9:55. Construction spending at 10, a rig count at 1. All right, the main event's going to be tonight at NVIDIA earnings. All right, we'll go to the earnings calendar. You'll see. Here's Wednesday. NVIDIA reports after the close. It's the main event because it's got almost $5 trillion of market cap. That's huge. All right, then HSBC is supposed to report sometime today. TJX going to report this morning, 175 billion. Salesforce going to report tonight with NVIDIA. You won't even hear much about Salesforce. It'll make a couple of articles, but the main event is to talk about NVIDIA because it's at the forefront of the AI boom that we're currently in. All right, so this is technology. Anytime you got chip stocks or graphics chips, anything to do with technology, they're at the forefront of it. So this is the tip of the spear right here. Okay, this is where we want to know if the tip of the spear is still pointed up. All right, all eyes is going to be on this one right here tonight. All right, because this is the tip of the spear. All right, Lowe's going to report $157 billion. They're going to report this morning. Bank of Montreal, $103 billion. Now, Home Depot reported yesterday, okay, $376 billion. Lowe's going to report this morning. I don't know how Home Depot went, but there wasn't much talk about it, so I don't know. But I don't read a whole lot of headlines. I don't like to get steered off what I'm doing or what I'm working on. Tomorrow, we've got Royal Bank of Canada, $241 billion. Looks like a day for Canada. Toronto Dominion Bank, $165 billion. Canadian Imperial Bank, $92 billion. Intuit, $105 billion. Okay, they're going to come out tomorrow night. On Friday, Berkshire is going to report sometime Friday. You got $2 trillion right there in Berkshire. Chart Industries, that's $9 billion. You can see the rest of them are nothing more than familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the market. And I'm going to tell you, Berkshire is such a conglomerate of different products. It's probably not going to move the market either. It really won't, because I've seen Berkshire report. I've never seen the market move based on what Berkshire, because they don't make anything. All they do is hold positions in a bunch of different companies. As far as I know, I mean, I'm not all knowing John Coach Kerrigan, okay? But I'm just saying all they do is hold a piece of other winning companies. That's all that they have. They don't really make anything, okay? They just manage positions in other companies. So they're not going to move the market, not like the tip of the spear right here, which is the AI boom right here. This is going to be the market mover. This is going to be the mover and shaker. Okay? It's all of the chip stocks that help make technology possible. Those are going to be the market movers. Okay? As far as the future goes. All right, so there we go there. We've got big time earnings tonight. They will definitely dominate the news. And as expected, because they are the tip of the spear. All right, that's it for me for this morning. All right, I will talk to you all in about, looks like 35 minutes. We'll kick off the markets. Let's take a look at the markets right now. See what I can extrapolate from the morning price action in SPY and QQQ. And let's see what we got on the 10-minute. All right, so let's block this off. Okay, let's call this one block of price action right there. Obviously, it's a bull flag. And we currently have, look at that, more price action over the prior consolidation. So that's, I have a bullish outlook for this morning, okay? But bear in mind, okay, let me just say, see the top of this area? There's been two areas of resistance, all right? And one of them is right here. Okay? And then the other one is up here. Okay? So we are running right into resistance again. All right? So we need to clear this, fill the gap or whatever is over here to the left, or tag this breakdown candle high, or at least show us holding the higher ground up here. Okay, so I am bullish this morning, but I'm not going to be surprised if we're down here, you know, by 2:30. All right, I'm just saying that, see this? This is a possibility today. See that? Same area. See where we are? Okay, on the 23rd, look where we left off on Friday, right up here at the high. Same high we're at right now. And then on Monday morning, look at what happened. All the way down here. And, you know, in the span of 2 hours, we went from 690 clear down to 680 inside of 2 hours on Monday. All right, so I'm just saying there could be a repeat performance. All right, so be prepared to take quick profits based on this sellers in this area. All right, so I'm bullish as long as the 10-minute uptrend stays intact. All right. Other than that, we could very well be melting back down to the lows. So be careful. All right. Your 10-minute trend ends. It's a good time to stop out or just shut down your position. Just be careful. Either that or hedge it with a sell a call up here or something to hedge it. That gives you room to move up if they want to move up. All right, so watch this PPO, all right, on the 10-minute. As long as those continue to grow, I like to stay in my trade. When this minute they stop growing, see how they grow. As soon as they stop growing, notice price goes flat. All right, so watch your PPO on the 10-minute. Okay, as long as they continue to grow, all right, I'm going to try to stay with it. All right, so when they stop growing, it's time to exit right there. So watch this PPO. Either that, or you could use your Williams RSI. That does the same thing pretty much. You can see it when it gets in the upper quarter up there, or upper fifth at the top of the Williams RSI. It's time that shows you to stay in. When it dips out, that's time to get out. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys in about 35 minutes. We'll open up the markets. Thank you.